Go.
Good afternoon, Trevor. How are you today?
Good, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Would you like a glass of water?
No, thank you, I'm fine.
Okay. Trevor, I'd like to discuss some issues that arose last Friday night whilst you were working in the doctor's surgery
Yes.
as the practice receptionist. Could you give me a quick overview of what type of a day you had?
Well, we had a very busy day last Friday, and we had a full booking list. There was quite a bit of business on the other side as well. There was at least one ambulance came in with people, and the doctor had to go away to attend that. Now, I believe he's called away several other times to attend residents on the other side as well. So, all in all, we were running quite a bit behind.
Okay. I believe there was a situation with a staff member and a patient that caused you some concerns. Could you elaborate on that?
Oh, yes, Alice. Well, Alice was dialed down by one of the nurses and just left at the counter. The nurse just left her there and then walked away, and as she walked away, she said, that she was off to have a lunch or some such, or she had work to do on the other side, and just left Alice there.
Okay. I believe the nurse in question wheeled the patient at the request of the mother into the doctor's surgery. She said she was feeling unwell and that she'd come in to see a doctor.
Well, I don't know. I didn't speak to Alice's mother, so I don't know what...
Are you aware of whether the patient actually had an appointment with the doctor?
I checked the appointment book. Alice didn't have an appointment for that day, no.
Thank you. So could you explain to me, Trevor, what happened next?
Well, I was talking to Alice, and Alice said to me that she was feeling quite unwell. She had a headache for 2 days. She'd been to see a specialist the day before. He told her to come back and see her GP and send something through. But she was very weak on the left-hand side. She said she couldn't, very tingling sensations in her fingers and her feet.
So what was the response with the information that the patient gave you? What was your response?
Well, I called out to the nurse. I said to her to come and do some obs or something, whatever nurses do, and to come back and look after this person. She just left at the counter.
So where was the nurse at this stage?
Oh, halfway down the corridor, off to get some lunch or do some work, I guess. Okay.
Did the nurse at this stage know of your concerns and the symptoms that had been, translated to you via the patient?
Well, no, I don't. I hadn't had a chance to talk to her yet.
Okay. Can you tell me what happened next?
Well, then the nurse came back and I said, well, don't you worry about it. I'm looking after this lady now, and you just go and have your lunch.
So you were quite annoyed at the nurse?
Oh, very frustrated. I mean, she just left her there, and Alice and I have been friends for ages, and to treat her like that I thought was just disgusting.
Okay. Trevor, I'd like to look at this a little bit closer. Okay. Now, I will commend you on the fact that you did pick up the symptoms and realise that they were important symptoms that needed to be addressed straight away. But I just want to address the situation to see how we can approach it a little bit more, diplomatically and possibly more suitable to both you and the nurse. Are you happy to do that?
Yes. Yeah, I'm happy. Anything that makes it work better. I mean, this shouldn't happen.
Now, look, I'm led to believe the nurse in question had helped the patient out of the mother's car. The patient had actually stood up, transferred herself into the wheelchair, and was speaking to the nurse whilst she was being wheeled into the doctor's surgery, and she was speaking quite coherently. There was no obvious signs that there was any slurring or facial drooping or any of the symptoms that you're now telling me the patient had transpired with your conversation. So, Trevor, the nurse was not aware at this stage of the patient's symptoms. Is that correct?
Well, I guess not. I don't know what the nurse was aware of, but I certainly had a chance to tell her no.
Okay, that's fine. Now let's take a step back and look at what caused it to go pear-shaped and how we could handle the situation differently. I feel there was a bit of a communication breakdown between yourself and the nurse.
Right.
Do you believe there was a communication breakdown?
Well, I guess so.
Okay. And can I just firstly commend you on your skills, okay? This is just... I just called you in so that we can actually look at how we can rectify the problem so it doesn't occur again and cause both of you stress, okay? Now, one of the things I think is you could have handled it possibly a bit more respectfully and appropriately. And in view of the fact that the doctor's surgery was full, it may not have been an appropriate thing to stand and yell down the corridor in a room full of other patients. So that's the first thing we need to sort of address. Do you think possibly that the nurse might have responded a little bit better if you had actually pulled her aside and spoken to her in private in a quieter environment without all the patients that were sitting around the doctor's surgery?
Well, I guess I could, I guess so. She might have responded differently, but...
Okay.
You know, I was worried about Alice.
Okay, I can understand that. The nurse may have responded much differently if you had taken her aside, told her these symptoms, which the nurse at the time was unaware of, and with the information to hand, that's exactly the case. I believe you've lived in this community for quite some time, Trevor.
Well, yes, I've lived here for a long time. It's not like the nurses who just come in and flit out, you know.
Okay.
They don't live in the community. They don't know the people. They just come in and go again, do their shifts and go.
So you were privy to some fairly confidential information about the patient's condition then? Is that correct?
Well, I mean, it's a small town. Everyone knows what's going on with everybody.
And the nurse may not have been aware of this patient's condition or history? She's not a local girl?
I guess not, no.
Okay, fine. So, do you think, Trevor, that you made an assumption that the nurse in question already knew the patient and her medical background, even though this nurse has never met the patient before, is not a local, and is unaware of her recent diagnosis?
Well, I suppose I did. I did make the assumption that she'd know what was going on.
Right, yeah. That's, to avoid this situation arising again, I think we'll put some strategies in place. Okay,
Right.
very simple strategies. We've been over them slightly now. If you've got any concerns in regards to patients that have had requested a doctor and feel it is more appropriate that they be seen by the nurse and be assessed in the emergency department due to the doctor being unavailable, what I would suggest you do is just take one of the nurses aside privately and voice your concerns and discuss it with her so that she could act on that. Are you happy to do that next time?
Well, yes, I will do
Okay.
that next time, yes.
Now,
That
we
does
need
sound better, I
we
suppose.
need to be really respectful and appropriate in our actions, and we all have stresses during the day. We all need to communicate respectfully and appropriately in appropriate places with the patient's confidential information, as discussed. Okay. However, Trevor, I must commend you on your swift action in raising your concerns to the nurse and the other staff. But please be mindful in the environment and the information that you're translating, your concerns, and the manner in which you do it. So, but well done. I commend you on your actions, but we just need to be very mindful of how we go about passing information on to nurses.
All right. Well, next time I'll do that, I suppose, and
Okay.
yeah. But they've got to learn to recognise and treat these people better.
Okay. I've heard your concerns, so I will have a word to the nurse in question as well. So,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye bye now.